Why are you here? You're here to outwork. You're here to outtrain. You're here to win.
What's up, you wrestling junkies? You're listening to the True Wrestling Podcast, episode number 4. Today, Dave and I are going to talk about recapping and previewing Lehigh. Brown and Whites were held on Thursday, and they opened the season at the Princeton Open on Sunday. Welcome to the podcast. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Adidas and Suples Wrestling. Check out coverage of your favorite team on the website. If you're interested in helping with coverage of any high school or college team, send me a message at TrueWrestler1. Dave, we're looking
Hey,
at
Mike, good morning.
how you doing?
I'm doing great, but you're obviously, you don't, or Tom Coughlin for that matter,
Dude,
because you said you were going to call me 15 minutes ago. Let me just give you an explanation on what Lombardi time means and what Tom Coughlin time. Tom Coughlin closed his meeting room 5 minutes before the actual scheduled time. If you weren't there 5 minutes early, you couldn't attend his meeting. Talk to Lawrence Taylor. Talk to some of the other players. Next time, call me on time, buddy.
Lawrence Taylor never played for Tom Coughlin. Nice try.
And also want to know why you've been ducking me for the last 3-4 years that we've known each other. The 30-second go in the parking lot. I'm ready. I don't know where the hell you've been.
You're going down. Going down. I'll see you at the Princeton parking lot, my friend. All right.
Yeah, I'm ready. Even though you outweigh me by 100 pounds and you're 20 years younger, but 30 seconds.
Excuses. All right. So,
hey, let's talk about Lehigh.
So Brown and White, we opened up with Nick Farrow versus Jarrett Lane. Jarrett Lane being one of Lehigh's big recruits this year.
Yep.
Farrow won 9-5. Lane.
Yeah. You know what? Before you get into that, let's talk a little bit about, let's just set up the season. I don't know if you had a chance to look at Lehigh's schedule, but
it's a bear.
It's incredible. And I think it all goes back to Cleveland when, am I allowed to, I probably shouldn't swear on here, but Lehigh didn't have a good tournament. They finished 15th. And I think coming out of that, Pat Santoro was determined to not have that happen, particularly with Nationals in-state in Pittsburgh this year.
Yep.
So he set up a killer schedule to make sure that the kids are going to be ready. And I was just looking at it quickly this morning. They're at Michigan. They're at Penn State.
Iowa.
They're at Iowa.
Yeah.
That's all in November and December, and then sandwiched in between there, they wrestle Princeton.
Arizona State.
Chris Ayers has got a nice team.
Yep.
Well, you're jumping ahead a little bit.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. And then they elected not to go to any of the meat grinder tournaments. They're not going to Southern Scuffle. They may send a couple kids to Midlands, but not much. You know, historically, they've come out of those tournaments banged up. So they're trying to avoid injuries as much as possible. So they're going to take a little vacation in Florida, do the South Beach duels. They're wrestling UNC and
Virginia.
I think Missouri Tigers,
Yep.
Minnesota, Virginia. And it just gets more ridiculous from there. They've got a cup of coffee with the EIWA. They're wrestling Bucknell and Cornell and Navy. And all the. And then Arizona State with Zahid comes to Bethlehem and gives Jordan Cutler a chance to face off again and have a rematch with Mr. Valencia. Then they go to Virginia Tech, Oklahoma. The Sooners have been down, but they're coming back. And then Oklahoma State, and then back to the EIWA with Army and Penn. and then the Easterns in Binghamton, and then, of course, the Nationals in Pitt. So incredible schedule.
They'll be tested. They will be
Ah,
tested, and
big time.
you were talking about Zahid. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Jordan Cutler may have the single hardest schedule. We can get to
Yeah,
that, but he's got Valencia, Hall, Amin. I mean, he's got the top five guys in the country by
it's a
January
killer.
1st.
So the big thing, Mike, in my mind, is staying healthy. And going into this season, that was a concern. They've got over 40 kids on their roster, so the depth is there. But unfortunately, and we found out a lot Thursday night at WrestleOffs, they're going into the season kind of banged up. And I think that is an area of concern. And, starting with 125, the Stanford transfer, Connor Schramm, who everybody had penciled in as the clear starter. And I think Schramm's actually a sixth year. He got a medical red shirt.
Yep.
Strong kid. Uh, Spent a couple years at 133. And I think people were pretty excited about him coming in. Or actually not a returning All-American, but All-American 2 years ago at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
Actually beat Darian Cruz in the quarterfinals. I saw that bout. It was like 1-0. But great addition. Hoping that whatever injuries he has can come back. But I liked what I saw Thursday night. Nick Farrell looked really tough. New Jersey kid. I think he placed third or fourth at States, but kind of a typical Lehigh recruit. He's gotten a hell of a lot better in the room. And, he was battling Scotty Parker at 133 for a couple years. I remember he got absolutely destroyed by Austin DeSanto, the Drexel duel. So he's taken his lumps, but he looked really good
He looked
Thursday.
good getting to legs pretty easily. Lane had a couple counters that were close.
Yeah,
And may provide some good action in the room. I don't know when Schramm is coming back, if he's coming back. I'm not sure where Matt Parker was. I don't know if he is, where he's
yeah.
at. He is a talented kid as well. But I'll tell you one thing: Farrow is a big 25 pounder. He
He's
hasn't
a
seen
real,
25 in a while.
and yeah, just a couple comments about Jarrett Lane. He's the brother of Kent Lane. He's a two-time Double-A state champ from Columbia, Pennsylvania. Good pedigree, tall kid. Actually put Farrell in a little bit of trouble with a couple interesting moves. Got some nice leverage. He's got some things to learn, but I think he's got an upside. My guess is he's probably going to move up as he gets older. He'll probably end up in the 41 to 49 range, but looks like Farrell's weight right now. I'm not sure what's happening with Matt Parker. Before the Schramm transfer, I think everybody had Parker penciled in as a starter at 25.
Yeah.
Some of the news coming out of Lehigh is it's difficult to get. They've got a bit of a cone of silence, but we'll see where this thing goes. But I think Lehigh's pretty comfortable with Farrell there right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, one, they should be. Two, he looks like, he's a top 20 guy and could be a point
Yep.
scorer come Pittsburgh time.
He's sucking some weight. I'm guessing off season he's probably walking around maybe 145, 150. So he's coming down a bit.
He didn't give me any secrets other than he did have to make weight for the
Yeah.
wrestle off, because that was a
Yeah.
big question. Was it scratch weight or not? And he made the weight, or so he said. And you got to figure one. I think it's been 3 years since he's seen 125.
Yeah.
So big
He's
kid.
rugged though. He's rugged.
He's rugged. He's strong, and I'm looking forward to seeing him at the Princeton Open tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
133.
Yep.
Another weight where the starter was not at. So Scotty Parker, All-American, was out. Brandon Paetzel wrestled against Mitchell Polito and had a 9-5 win. Brandon was a 125 pounder, transferred back from Rutgers to the Lehigh Valley, and he's put on a lot of muscle. He's one of the few kids who's put on a ton of muscle, and he was noticeably bigger.
Yeah, Phillipsburg kid. Also a nice pedigree. I think he may have been a New Jersey state champ or runner-up. Not sure why he chose Rutgers, but he's at the right place now. I don't know if you saw Parker walking around. You probably didn't see him with his shirt off, but he's got some new ink.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh,
Really?
it's awesome. He's got a big a tattoo of a lion with a crown on top of his head. Covers almost his entire right arm. So I guess he's going by the Lion King.
So
Yeah.
interesting.
One of the better tats that I've seen from a Lehigh kid.
Huh.
My favorite probably being Troy Letters with his Letters tattooed in the middle of his back. Looked like his uniform number, but that's going back a few years. But you gotta love some good ink. And Parker's one of my favorite wrestlers. 2-time All-American, 8th and 7th, and Lehigh's looking for big things from him. Fingers crossed that whatever's ailing him is minor. He'll be back in the lineup soon. But I think preseason he's ranked top 4, and he's got a hell of a chance to be high up on the podium this year.
33 is a grinder of a weight, bunch of studs, maybe adding Suriano to that, Fix to that. On top of
it's going to be a killer.
It's a killer. The thing for Lehigh is whether it's Patel or Parker, the EIWA doesn't have a lot of depth at 133. So that should be a big point scorer at the conference level. And
well, don't be too quick. Cornell's got a incoming freshman.
Sure, he's good.
I know you're familiar with. I never know how to pronounce his name, but is it Aruja or Raju?
Everybody pronounces it different. Arujo.
But
if he can make the weight, that's a big cut for him, right?
Yeah, they've got him penciled in at 33. It's either him or Charles Tucker, but Cornell's going to be tough there. But I like Parker's chances certainly in the Easterns, and then going forward. So he's a stud.
So yeah, we'll see if he comes back. Patel, if
Yep.
if it is Patel, I have him probably at the same level as Farrow, probably top 20, could win a match at nationals, should place, top 2 or so at EIWAs.
I hope you're right. I'm maybe not quite as high on Patel. I do like his motor. He's a goer.
Yeah.
And you're right. He's added some muscle. I think Lehigh's hired a couple strength trainers, and it's helped. You see some of the kids have gotten noticeably stronger.
All right. Well, going up to 141. Missing from the brown and white was the returning starter, Luke Karam.
Yeah.
And we had Pomeranka over Dan Moran, local boy, 3-2. Pomeranka was, he very defensive minded. In the past he has beaten, Randy Cruz at the brown and white wrestle off. My problem with Pomeranka is that he keeps it so close that he can lose at the last second.
Well, Lehigh's got about 20 kids in that 141 range.
Yeah.
Really. And I'm exaggerating, obviously, but Luke Karam, he's the man. I think everybody believes that he's got certainly a decent shot at being an All-American. Needs some work on his feet, but you know what? Who doesn't? Nobody comes in, ready-made. There's very few Spencer Lee's out
Yeah.
there, but Karam's a killer on top, so much so that nobody goes down underneath him. So
Which is
he's been
saying something as a college freshman, even a redshirt freshman, right?
well, it really is, and he's well scouted. I mean, everybody knows his game, but tough kid, and look for big things from him. But certainly if he's not ready, there's capable backups. You mentioned Pomrenka; he's a strong kid. He did beat Randy Cruz. What was that? 2 years ago in the wrestle
I
offs.
think so.
Yeah. So he's got some skills. Dan Moran, local kid from the Valley.
You know what I tell you I liked about Dan was he was so aggressive. He just kept attacking.
Yeah,
And
well, that's his MO.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, well, everybody does.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Yeah,
just he would not stop attacking, and
he's
I look
nice.
for big things from him in the future.
Yeah, a kid that we're not hearing much from, and I'm a little surprised, is Jimmy Hoffman from Hazleton, who was a runner-up 2 years ago in PA AAA. A couple people have talked about him, and we'll talk about it in a minute regarding 149, but possibility of him moving up and wrestling a little bit at that weight, but we'll see. But Lehigh's deep at 49. They got another kid from Lancaster, this Joe Lobeck,
Yep.
who's strong. He put a beating on the kid that he wrestled the other night. And he's a real capable kid. I saw him wrestle 2 years ago against Mark Gray at Grace Hall. Cornell came close to beating Mark Gray, who wasn't half bad. So Lehigh's well taken care of at 141, in my opinion.
I think so, and I will be real curious. Let's hope Karam comes back. We'll see how much he's improved from that neutral position. I think that when you scout him and you realize he has a hard time generating points from his own attacks, it gives you a different game plan, especially in March. And if he can start generating his points from neutral, it gives him a much higher finish and range at the national level.
No question. I don't know what he's studying at Lehigh, but he may have a future on the racetrack, at least helping his brother. I don't know if you know that his brother is an IndyCar racer, Sage Karam, and has had a lot of success. So maybe Luke can get a ride.
Okay, all right. So you mentioned Lobeck. He really he did a major decision against Herring. He looked good at 41. We have not seen Hoffman, what you talked about. And that takes us to 49. I would say that I did see Skyler in the down at the mat side, and he was wearing a plastic boot, which is never a good thing.
No, it's not.
So they didn't have a wrestle off there. Whether we will see who bumps up or who they're getting. If someone comes down, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'll be curious to see who is at the Princeton Open for them at 49, and maybe it's the loser of the 41 bracket for Lehigh moves up, or
all of those are possible. If you look at Lehigh's team this year, they're strong down below, and they're really strong up top. Kind of a soft midsection. So starting with 49, and that might be a little harsh. They've got capable wrestlers, but it's not their 49, 57, 65, those aren't their strong weights.
Have you heard anything about Kent Lane?
Haven't heard much. He's been in the room now for 3 years. Pennsylvania State champ. Really hasn't gotten his legs underneath him yet. I think people are still hopeful that good things are going to come, but no, haven't heard much from Kent Lane. And going into the season, the two starters that were penciled in, Cortland Schuyler at 49, and then I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but
Ian Brown, 57, right?
Yeah, thank you. Ian Brown, 57. We're not hearing good things. Ian Brown's definitely done in a neck injury, and that's always serious, and you don't want to play around with that. And then, of course, Court Schuyler, nobody's really sure, but we're hearing that he may be done as well. So it's opening up two positions and creating some holes in the lineup. But at 49, it could be anybody at this point in time. I wouldn't be surprised to see Pomrinka move up.
I wonder if Humphreys can still make it. Right?
What's that? Yeah.
I mean, Humphreys wrestled 57. He's listed on the roster as 49. I don't know if he's certified, but
you know what? A true freshman from West Virginia, four-time state champ. The kid is slapped together. I mean, he's ripped out of his mind. He's one of the stronger-looking true freshmen. I don't know if he can cut to 49. He looked like a legit full-size 57-pounder to me.
He passed the eye test for 57. When I just looked at the roster, I'm pretty sure he was listed at 49. So I don't know if that is an insurance policy. He looked pretty good against Brian Meyer with a 7-3 win, and he pushed the pace.
I think Lehigh would be happy if he moved down. I don't know if he's certed at 49. I'll take your word for it if he did. Certification rules are a little squirrely. I think you can lose like 1.5 pounds a week. So, that being the case, if he's going to come down to 49, that'd be probably second semester. But I think, first semester you'll probably see Pomrinka would be my guess.
Interesting.
At 49.
Yeah, I didn't get a hold of the weigh-in sheet, so I don't know if there was an official weigh-in, but I always ask.
What would you weigh in that now, would you say?
Say it again?
Where would you be if you had to certify?
If I had to certify, I'd be for fat and bald, I'm dead, fully decomposed, and I'm 250. Okay.
All right. Enough.
Oh, you're funny. I'm gonna beat you down next time I see you. Are you gonna beat the Princeton Open tomorrow?
I can't wait. No, I got to clean my gutters, so I'm not driving over to Princeton.
Talk about dating yourself. You know what's funny? My brother-in-law doesn't even know what cleaning a gutter is. Anyway, so 49 and 57, you're gonna have to really see how that plays out with shuffling some chairs around there.
Well, everything's interrelated because if we're going to talk about 57, you have to talk about Gordon Wolf.
Absolutely.
And Lehigh fans, they gave him the acronym GFW, if you know what that stands for. Okay. And he's lived up to that GFW, those initials, for a reason. I mean, he's a wild man. I think the one thing that surprised me about Thursday night more than anything was that he only scored 2 points. It's probably the only time he's ever scored 2 points
in a match, at least in college.
Yeah,
at least.
But I think a lot of it had to do with just familiarity in the room, and he wrestled Cole Walter, who's tough, and everybody's looking for good things for Cole Walter. So I'm bouncing around here a little bit, but 65, 57, and 49 are kind of interrelated. You're going to see a lot of kids that could bounce back and forth. My preference would be have the Wolfman slide down to 57. Could be a tough cut for him, similar to Farrow at 25, but he could be really tough at 57 and then leave Walter at 65. But time will tell. I think the coaches are looking to see what some of these open tournament results are going to bring.
Yeah, so Wolf disappeared. He was yelling at Farrow and Patel while I was interviewing him, and then he kind of disappeared before I could get to him to see what his weight was and what he's thinking. It was a tight match. Walter won 4-2, as you mentioned, and won in the third period, very close. And I'm not a fan of that style, because it just doesn't give you any time to get back into the match if it goes against you at the end. And
I think Lehigh's they're a little frustrated with Cole Walter. another kid with a great pedigree, state champion, double A, triple A, I'm not sure, but people had high expectations. Interesting body type. He can't be more than 5'5", short, stocky kid, but really strong. He's had some decent wins in open tournaments, but lots and lots of injuries last year. The hope is that he stays healthy and can put some points on the board. He does need to open up, no question.
Yeah, I mean they clearly have, the staff has confidence in him. They put him in the lineup 2 years ago in March.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily pay off with Minotti. I don't know exactly if it was just Wrestle-Off that decided that, but Minotti was a returning All-American or an All-American, and Walter just it appears that he does not wrestle with a ton of confidence. He looks yoked, like he has physical confidence, but I'm not sure if he has a confidence in his attacks from neutral.
Well, you're picking at an old scab there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no question that if you look back, there may be some regrets about wrestling him over Minotti, who was, one of Lehigh's better wrestlers in the last at least 10 years. So yeah, there's probably some regrets there, but fingers crossed that Cole can stay healthy and performs well.
Now, one match at 65 that I don't think is going to determine a starter was Trey Cornish versus Taylor Casamente. And the Cornish kid, look, he was dynamic and he lit the crowd up, right? I mean, there were some moves there. They didn't all score points, but he's got some dynamic moves.
He looked good. I think he's from North Carolina, of all places. Yep. And I'd be hard-pressed to come up with a couple kids, a couple All-Americans from the state of North Carolina, actually from high school, North Carolina's. Not a great wrestling state, but I agree with you. He looked good. He looked really good.
Looked good. He disappeared from the mat side before I could get to talk to him. I mean, most people don't know it, but North Carolina has the second most D1 wrestling programs to Pennsylvania, and the way that the state college enrollment and funding is going, it could be tied with Pennsylvania in a few years if a few schools close down.
Well, if he ducked you, then he's a pretty smart kid.
I was just gonna say Cole Walter's thighs are about the size of your ego, but whatever, we're all good.
Oh, come on,
Dave, I'm just messing with you.
No, I like what I saw from Cornish. My assumption is he's going to redshirt, and pretty good upside.
Yeah, I liked him, and he brought some oohs and ahs out of the crowd there, because after the Walter match, things were pretty close to the vest.
Yeah.
Next up, 174, returning All-American Jordan Cutler. He wrestled against Chase Gallick, who put on a show 2 years ago with Gordon Wolfe. Gallick was smiling, and the crowd responded, but Cutler is pretty intense. And a focused guy. Cutler, we already mentioned it. He is one of the better wrestlers in that room. And this year, he's going to have a gauntlet before the first of the year. And it's just a tough weight class, tough schedule for this kid. And the last time most Lehigh fans saw him, he got injured in the first match at Nationals. Wrestled, kind of on one leg to get an All-American. And then came back at universities, withdrew, knee wasn't quite 100%, or whatever was not quite 100%, and told me last night he is 100%. Thoughts?
Well, preseason, I think Lehigh is as high as number 6, and they're preseason number 6 for a reason, because they're very, very talented. In my opinion, Jordan Cutler is the most talented wrestler on Lehigh's team. Would be disappointed if he wasn't at least third in the nation this year. Timing is everything. I remember a few years back when Corey Cooperman was wrestling for Lehigh, and he just couldn't get over the hurdle because of Nick Gallick from Iowa State, and the kid from Oklahoma, helped me out here, but two-time national champ. Anyhow, unfortunately for Jordan, he's behind two potential all-time greats in Zahid Valencia and Mark Hall from Penn State.
Yeah.
Not to say that he can't climb that mountain, but Jordan's really, really good. And I think the only thing that Lehigh people are hoping for is good health. I'm hoping that they pace him, maybe spot start Gallic and make sure that Jordan's fresh going into the tournaments. But he's a stud.
He's a stud. We're depending on the service. You've got him ranked around number 6. I've said he's going to face everybody above him, and he has a win over Amin from Michigan at home last year. Close one, ended up I think losing to him in March, but easily could be. Even the Hall match was close last year.
It was, and he's never out of it. Great positioning. I'm not sure that I've seen anybody with better positioning. He's always right there. Maybe could open up a little bit more, but that's not his style. 74 is his weight. Strong. He's a total package. He's good in all 3 positions.
2 things I'll comment about Cutler. One is I talked to a lot of guys in college, and other than Adam Kuhn, he has the strongest handshake of anybody, which is a great way to determine how they can hand fight with that hand strength. And then, I think he gets picked on a little bit by the referees on his top game. The one-on-one series that he has is tremendous. I actually had him put me in it just to feel the pressure, and at my advanced age, I asked him to stop before he put full weight on me. He's like, wait, I didn't even get going. I'm like, I don't want to have to go to the doctor. But a lot of these referees, he's keeping it legal, but the coaches are talking or warning them, and they're taking an extra attention to it, which is when he's still inside the bounds of the rule. So I just find it a little bit, we'll see how much he's adjusted to the referees paying that kind of close attention. I look for him to be in the mix in March. He has to run a gauntlet. I hope he stays healthy. I'm looking forward to watching him.
Yeah, I think everyone is. And, seeding's going to be critical. Who knows? Maybe with the right draw, he can catch some magic and end up as a national champ. He's that good.
Yeah, that would be, well, yeah. Do we know that the Valencia has actually committed to staying at 74? I don't know.
Yeah. That's a great question. A lot of people wonder how he makes 74. He's huge. He looks like a 97 pounder, and somehow he gets on the scales and he makes weight. But my guess is at last year in Cleveland for the finals, he had to have weighed close to 190 because he had all day to hydrate. And that was a huge advantage over Mark Hall, who's pretty much an average size 74 pounder.
Right, I mean, he's a head taller. It almost reminds me of David Taylor, who's now gone up 2 weight classes and is still the tallest guy on the international scene as far as height goes. That's
a subject for a whole other conversation. I mean, how about David Taylor? But we'll talk about him another.
Talk about depth, Anyway, all right, going up to 84. Ryan Price wrestled Andrew Price. Second bonus match in a row there between Cutler and Price. Price looked like a different kid this year. He's put on some mass. He looks like he is an 84-pounder. It was a tight match early, probably because they wrestle each other constantly. I didn't get to talk to either of them. They were off the mat before I got around to talking to them after the match for interviews. But then, the opinion knuckleheaded junior guy just kept opening it up, and he looks like he's ready for the hard schedule. He was banged up at times last year as well. That muscle is an insurance plan for durability. I like his chances right now. Go ahead.
2 important questions. One, how do you pronounce his name?
Price. I know last night they did it differently. I don't know.
I've heard it's It's very simple. It's just price.
Oh,
Just like the kid he wrestled. It's price. I
okay.
think.
I was just going with what Santoro told me a couple years ago.
But everything you said, I agree with. I was impressed. He got his haircut, and
That was going to be my first thing. You moved all the size of your hair to your body. Come on.
well, he's a senior, so he's probably going to have to start interviewing for
Yeah.
jobs, and he looks like a new kid. So it's amazing what happens when the real world is right around the corner. But yeah, he does look. He's a big boy. He's a full size 84-pounder. I think Lehigh fans are still on a high from the Eastern Finals when he put a beat down on Max Dean to clinch the EIWA title.
That was a pretty good match. Look, 84 is a lot easier than 74s, at least on paper. Right now, it's not as deep. He didn't meet his seed last year, and I think that the probability, if he is healthy, to be a high All-American, and there's a lot of opportunity for him right now.
I'll one up you on that. I think he has a legit shot at being a national champ. And you call me a wild optimist, but if he puts it together for 3 days in Pittsburgh, he's as capable as anybody. And I'd be surprised if he's not at least top 4. He's another stud.
Absolutely. And I'm glad to see that he put all that size on. He has really grown into the weight and be a high scorer at the Easterns. I mean, there's Brucky, the Birdman Stakes from Drexel. You got Hoffman, but he. What am I talking about? That's 97. What am I talking about? 84. You got Dean, right?
Well,
He's put it on. He's put it on Dean. So I'm looking forward to watching him. When he opens it up again, he beat Amin last year, Michigan, close, late takedown, third period. I think that I'm not sure if he lost to him at Nationals. Not sure. But
he had a tough draw at Nationals, and I think Ryan may have been a little bit banged up also.
Totally. Yeah.
He's not going to make any excuses, but
it's not an excuse. You just hurt. You're hurt. It's not the same 100%. He's not making them. We are.
And yeah, right. And realistically, in March, who's not hurt? I mean, everybody goes in with it's just a question of how much you're hurt or how little you're hurt.
Right.
And you got to get hot and you got to have the right draw. But you were kind of morphing into 97, so probably a good segue into talking about Lehigh, and it's probably Lehigh's deepest weight. They got 3 guys that on any given day could be the starter.
Yeah. So we saw Gentili versus Jacobson. Gentili saw time in the lineup. Both guys saw time in the lineup last year while Weiler was out. Gentili won late. Not very aggressive. Never seems to open it up. Last minute scoring, we've talked about, can be a problem. The EIWA is stacked at this weight. We will see where Weiler is, if he is better. I've heard people say that Gentili is winning in the room. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I think Weiler was coming in ranked top 10 in the country probably. I'm not. Go ahead. I think Gentili, has beaten Jacobson a few times, and probably would be the starter for the season if Weiler is out. I'm not sure. He's probably a top 20 guy.
Yeah, that weight class, at least in the Easterns, has opened completely. Darmstadt at Cornell.
Yeah, Darmstadt.
Sounding like he's done for the year.
Yep.
Neck issue, back issue, yep. But and you're right about the Princeton kid, Brucky. Who's built like a you know what?
He's got great attacks, great penetration on his shots, and explosive hips. He just needs a top game.
But back to Lehigh, I I think going into the season, everybody had Weiler penciled in there, and yeah, he's preseason rankings in top 8. He was around a 12 guy last year. Big talent. Another, you look at Lehigh, and it's kind of a murderer's row, 74, 84. Whoever they put at 97 is going to be tough, and of course, Jordan Wood at heavyweight. So Lehigh's tough up top. It'll shake out. You probably won't know who the starter is until second semester.
Yeah.
My guess it's going to be Weiler. I think Gentile is more of an 84-pounder. Jacobson's a full-size 97-pounder. Little weak on his feet, really tough on top. I don't know that you can tell much from the wrestle-offs. Just, again, familiarity between Gentile and Jacobson. But
yeah. Jacobson's issue, I thought, last year watching him wrestle a couple times outside of Lehigh was he just has a hard time defending leg attacks. He can't change his level down, doesn't hand fight well enough.
No, you're right. And that he was state champ from Stroudsburg. Hasn't changed that much. Not great on his feet. And, that's a difficult skill to teach.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
everybody wants him on their dodgeball team, though. He's got a cannon, that football player.
He's a big kid. Yeah, he's a quarterback.
Going up to 285, Jordan Wood beat Lancome. And it was tight. There's a lot of familiarity there. Victor was ready for Wood's attacks, I think. And, Wood kind of just wore him down. I talked to Wood after the match, and he was disappointed in his redshirt freshman year. He didn't feel like he was physically or mentally aggressive enough. He is aggressive right now. I mean, he was aggressive in the wrestle-off. He kept attacking, and he didn't quite get the bonus points. But with the big guys, you want to be aggressive. The other thing that, he is, he provided 90% of the action, I think, in the wrestle-off. But the big issue with him is that he has been hurt in the past, and he has to stay out of some of those positions that can hurt you. I've talked to a number of. Oh, go ahead.
He has nothing to be disappointed by. I think he had a great freshman year, and he won the Easterns. He beat Hughes from Hofstra, who's a giant. He's got to be every pound of 285. That was a big win.
Yep. Then he lost to Butler in sudden victory, right? The 3 seed.
The kid from Stanford. Yeah, that was close. It could have gone either way, and he lost Arizona State in overtime.
Maybe that would. Yeah.
He was right. He was right there. He was close to being an All-American. I'd be surprised if Jordan's not top 6 this year. Super talented kid. Again, really pretty good from all 3 positions. Maybe a tad undersized. I don't know what he's weighing in at, maybe 250, which isn't bad, but when you go up against the big boys and you're giving up 25 pounds, it makes a difference. You want him to stay healthy. Len Combs a big kid.
He's a big kid.
Not a bad backup. Lehigh lost Colucci, who transferred to Rutgers, so good to have a backup. Would like to see the coach's spot start Lancome, just to keep Jordan fresh. And same comment I would have almost every weight. Let's keep the number ones fresh, healthy. If that happens, Lehigh's going to have a hell of a year. I mean, they're very, very talented.
I agree. I think everybody at this weight class. I mean, Wood is going to have. There's things have cleared out, but they're adding a beast at this weight class with Gable Stevenson, and if he gets to nationals, part of that. I think he could, if he's on the opposite side of the bracket, I think he can go with everybody. Stevenson is a different animal. Even at the senior level, he's beaten kids in freestyle, not kids, men who are one step away from being on the world team. And I'm not sure if anybody's going to catch up to him. But I think,
No, he's a dude you got to avoid, and he and Jordan have a history. They've
yeah,
probably, I don't know, wrestled 5 times, and
yep. Who's
it
number
gets
one was the
worse.
last one here at Lehigh a couple years ago.
Yep, you're right. What was that? Who's number one?
Yep.
Probably, yeah.
It was close
Yeah,
first period or close initially, and then it wasn't.
no, Stevenson's going to be another one of the great Minnesota heavyweights, and some people have him penciled in as probably being the national champ this year. We'll see.
Yep. Well, all right. So that's the lineup, and we've talked a little bit. I don't want to beat it, but Lehigh has intentionally got probably the hardest schedule in the country. Penn State, Iowa, Michigan, Arizona State, Missouri, Minnesota, UNC, Virginia Tech, both schools from Oklahoma, Princeton. It goes on and on. The hits keep coming. And we'll see if this approach of, the incredible murderer, you're going to be battle tested come Easterns and NCAAs. And,
Yeah.
you hope for health for everybody who's competing just because you want the best to go against each other. And I hope that works.
Well, it's great for the fans. I think college wrestling, too many teams are focused on tournaments. They've gotten away from duels. Duels build up your fan base. They build up interest. People love them. I know I love them. Looking forward to Lehigh's home schedule. Hope to see every one of them. And then, their away schedule is incredible.
I just want to say one thing about that.
Yeah.
I want more fans there.
Well, yeah.
It is
Yeah.
just unconscionable that there's a top 10 team in the country in the heart of District 11 that can't get regular basis a filled 1900 or whatever the capacity is at Grace Hall.
Well, yeah, Mike, that's probably a subject for another conversation. It's more complex than people want to admit, but no question, when you look around, there's more gray hair than blonde hair.
Yeah.
There's not nearly enough students. Lehigh's putting a great product on the mat. They're wrestling in arguably the best venue in the United States. Visiting teams come to Grace Hall, Lehman Turner Arena, and they're blown away. They love it. Lehigh's recruiting great. Their early commits for next year are really strong. They're going to be easily top 10. Program's headed in the right direction. But you're right. We need more fannies in the seats.
So the only thing I'll say is I see a lot of wrestling, and I see more youth wrestlers at Drexel or at Penn or at Princeton. And I know a lot of times the matches conflict, but when you get the word out that you want the kids there and you make it easy for them to get in, again, even before Brown and White, have a clinic with Darian Cruz. I mean, there was a table of national champions. We, Pat was sitting with, Darian and Zach, right? Have just a clinic with national champions before Brown and White or whatever it is, and you have 50 youth wrestlers there, and it's just a great way to get these kids. I have a huge argument right now of why American wrestling is on the upswing as far as the cream of the crop. One, from the cadet and junior levels, we're feeding the senior level. As a kid, you've never been able to see more great wrestling at your fingertips. You can go online and see people wrestling from the Eureka and the World Championships to the Big Ten, even the Pac-10. You can see everything, and these kids can see technique everywhere, and it's inspiring.
It's great, and isn't the internet a wonderful thing?
It is.
I think every coach has tape on kids going back to junior high school, and as a fan, I know today at 6 o'clock I'm going to be watching Ohio State against Navy. Rutgers has got a quad going on. I think Fresno State's going to be there.
Yep.
So I know what I'm going to be doing a lot of today. My wife's not going to be happy with me, but got my Yankees hat on. Big baseball fan, but that's over with. Might conflict with LSU and Alabama tonight, but it's a great time to be a college wrestling fan.
Without a doubt.
I've got some ideas in how to generate attendance, but it's not PC. I'd hire some Hooters girls and have them circulate throughout the stands. I think that'd be more popular than having clinics, but that's just me, Mike.
Well, I'd like to see the kids there, but the MMA ring girls, they attract a certain class of people or type of person, and
Right.
I just want to see the kids watching great wrestling because it inspires them. I think Cael Sanderson's effect has been that kids in Pennsylvania, the goal used to be, I want to be a state champion. Now they see Sanderson, what he's done to Penn State, and they're like, I want to be a national champion. And when you see what's going on at the junior and senior level internationally, kids are now saying, I want to be a world champion.
Yep.
And there's something to that is unstoppable in your mind.
Well, Penn State's got to figure it out. And, I said arguably Grace Hall's the best venue, but Rec Hall's got to be a close second and arguably maybe number one. But the Lehigh Penn State duel last year at the PPL Center was fantastic. And I know I'm going up to Rec Hall this year, December the 2nd, to see them wrestle Penn State, and it's going to be packed. Be lucky to just get a standing room only ticket. So Penn State's got to figure it out. If you look at attendance nationwide, there's some teams that are going up. Rutgers.
Yep.
I remember going to Rutgers matches and there were maybe 100 people, and now they're packing the place. So they're doing a great job. It doesn't hurt to have a couple superstars in the lineup like Siriano and Ashnault, who's back for the 6th year. But we could go on and on. I think you and I could talk about college wrestling until dinner time.
Yeah. Well, good work. I mean, I know this was not easy for you, but
no.
I
want a piece of you, by the way. I got to have you.
Just so you know, I still wrestle heavyweights occasionally. So
yeah. Well, back in the day, I took out a New Jersey third, Dominic Manganiello from Parsippany, New Jersey. I beat him 1-0 in riding time. That was a long time ago.
I don't want to recount my list of matches and victories at this point, but it's good talking to you. We'll do this again.
You too, Mike. I enjoyed it.
If you get to watch the Princeton Open, maybe we'll do a little summary. There's going to be a bunch of teams there: Rutgers, Rider, Lehigh, Princeton, ODU, Army, Columbia. I'm drawing a blank now, but that's a pretty good lineup right there.
You may be talking me into it. I just might hop in the car and see you tomorrow.
Okay.
But great work. Love your work.
Thanks, Dave. All right, I'll talk to you.
All right, Mike. Have a good